My name is Farron, and for most of my life, I've been the kind of man who believes in observing patterns rather than jumping to conclusions. This mindset served me well in business, where patience and precision often yield better results than impulsive decisions. For a long time, it also served me well in my marriage, until it didn't. I was married to Mayan for 6 years, and to most people looking in from the outside, we appeared solid, if not particularly showy. We weren't the couple who posted love notes or anniversary collages on social media. Instead, we kept our relationship private, self-contained, and built on what I thought was mutual respect. We had our routines: morning coffee in our separate mugs, shared evenings where we cooked simple dinners, and weekends spent unwinding in quiet corners of the city. It felt comfortable, reliable. It was a Thursday night when the first real crack appeared in our marriage, though at the time I didn't recognize it as such. Mayan had promised to be home by 8:00 p.m. She had decided to prepare her favorite pasta with fresh basil for dinner. As the clock struck 8:00, then 9:00, and eventually 10:00, the pasta sat forgotten, growing cold and congealing in the pot. Finally, at 10:42 p.m. she walked in looking disheveled, not intoxicated but slightly off-kilter, as if she had been caught in the rain without an umbrella. Work ran long. New campaign. Everyone's working double shifts, Farron explained, raising an eyebrow. Megan replied with a casual shrug. You didn't text. I got worried. She kicked off her shoes and placed her bag down, her uneasy demeanor evident in the tilt of her chin. Despite this, I wanted to trust her and force myself to nod in acceptance of her explanation. However, a familiar citrusy scent lingered in the air, the perfume she had deemed too flirtatious for the office months ago and stopped wearing. You're wearing the old perfume. I thought you didn't like it anymore, Megan, I remarked, trying to maintain a light tone. A brief moment of tension passed over her face before she responded. In her gaze, she expressed surprise as she realized she must have mistakenly taken something earlier that morning without realizing she hadn't pressed properly. She explained that it wasn't her usual style to pressure someone into confessing. However, later that same evening, as she was brushing her teeth, she noticed her friend's phone on the kitchen counter. With just one look, she saw that the battery was at 47%, indicating it was not dead. She hadn't seen her friend charge it at any point. Despite having no concrete evidence, she had a gut feeling. It was that feeling of discomfort that arises when you sense someone you care about starting to hide something. In the days that followed, Megan mentioned a new colleague at her workplace named Tyson, a consultant from Los Angeles assisting with the digital strategy restructuring. While casually preparing a salad at the kitchen island, Megan described Tyson as having a typical Californian calm demeanor, appearing unruffled by anything. She remarked that people around could learn from his composure. When Farron questioned if Tyson was her new boss, Megan clarified that they simply worked closely together and praised his sharpness. Megan's response was measured and almost clinical, though it seemed rehearsed. She was trying to sound uninterested, but her efforts revealed a hint of concealed curiosity. In the following days, her interest in Tyson became increasingly evident. She casually mentioned him at least 6 times, sharing anecdotes about his work ethic or remarks about how impressed everyone was with him. One evening, I caught her giggling at something on her phone, which she quickly hid when I asked her about it, dismissing it as just a meme related to work. I don't push for immediate explanations. Instead, I observe data, dates, times, and patterns in all aspects of life. As the week progressed, Megan's late nights at work became more frequent. One night, she came home around midnight, claiming she had been reviewing presentations with Tyson for hours. I noticed she was wearing a familiar blouse with one mismatched button, as if she had hastily redone it. She also had on her pearl earrings, usually reserved for special occasions like our anniversary dinners. It was at this point that I began to take detailed notes on the situation. I hired a private investigator, but I also kept a small log on my phone. On Monday, Maiden mentioned a strategy dinner with upper management. I decided to cross-check her office calendar on our shared tablet, but there was no such meeting listed. The next day, I called her office at 7:15 p.m. and a junior analyst named Serena answered. mentioning that Megan had left hours ago, claiming she had dinner plans. On Wednesday, I deliberately cleared my schedule in the afternoon and parked across from her building at 5:50 p.m. to see if she was actually there. At 6:00 p.m., I spotted her exiting the building in a sleek black coat I hadn't seen in years, wearing tight jeans and darker lipstick than usual. A tall, confident man with a laid-back California vibe walked closely behind her. I observed them briefly, but decided not to follow them as I had seen enough. That night, my suspicions turned to confirmation when she arrived home close to midnight, spinning an elaborate tale about going for drinks with the team and continuing to brainstorm at someone's apartment. I barely responded, lost in my thoughts. Tyson might be moving back to Lag in a few weeks. Guess he's not sure yet. Me. Quietly, is that so? Inside, I felt a cold certainty. Something between us had broken, and she wasn't even trying to fix it. She was drifting away, chasing a new infatuation. I made a decision right then. If she was going to leave, I wouldn't fight for someone who was already half out the door. But I would control how it ended. A subtle show of calm. The next morning, I surprised her by making pancakes. It wasn't something I did often, so naturally she gave me a questioning look as she stepped into the kitchen, her hair still damp from the shower. Megan, frowning slightly, "Pancakes? What's the occasion, me?" With a calm smile, "No occasion. Just felt like being good to my wife." She smiled back, but there was hesitation in her eyes, a mixture of caution and guilt. It was as if she sensed I knew something, but she wasn't sure how much. That Friday, I proposed we go out to dinner, just the two of us. Phones off. We barely talk anymore. Shall we have a genuine conversation tonight? Megan was quick to agree. Perhaps out of guilt, I observed. She seemed relieved and maybe even hopeful that I was looking to reconnect. Truthfully, I wanted to test her honesty before confronting her with my evidence. We opted for a cozy restaurant in Midtown with soft lighting and an intimate ambience. Megan wore a modest yet sophisticated black dress that accentuated her beauty, highlighting how distant we had become in just a few weeks. As we sat down, we engaged in pleasant small talk for the first half of dinner, touching on potential vacation plans, unfulfilled trips, her new work responsibilities, and some details about my job. However, I could sense her avoidance as she skirted past sensitive topics or changed the subject when I broached them. With dessert on the table, I felt it was time. Leaning in and lowering my voice, I asked Megan if she ever reflected on. As Megan's eyes narrowed, she observed, "Marriages deteriorate, Megan." I gently tapped my fork against the plate in response. It doesn't happen all at once. It's a gradual process. Late nights transform into lies. A touch lingers on another's arm. Suddenly, everything changes. She froze, a spoon suspended midair before slowly setting it down. "Megan," I said softly, "Farron, what are you implying?" Locking eyes with her, I revealed, "I saw you with Tyson on Wednesday evening. I was parked nearby, watching as you laughed with him as if I didn't exist." Her face paled as she processed my words. "Maiden, you followed me?" she inquired. Shaking my head, I clarified. "No," I observed. "There's a distinction." Megan didn't attempt to deny the truth. For the first time in weeks, her composed demeanor faltered, exposing genuine fear and remorse beneath the surface. "Megan, Farron, I'm sorry. It's not what you think," she stammered. I interjected firmly, "I'm not seeking an explanation. I have one question for you." Leaning in with a steady gaze, I posed, "Are you committed to this marriage, or have you already checked out?" Her mouth opened, but no words emerged. In that moment, the gravity of the situation hung heavily in the air. Silence enveloped the room, absorbing every sound. Her eyes flitted nervously around, her thumb rubbing as if trying to erase an unseen blemish. After a prolonged pause, she finally spoke. "I haven't been intimate with him, I swear." I replied quietly, "That's not what I was thinking." Her voice quivered as she continued, "It's not what you think. We just... He's easy to talk to." I found myself looking forward to our conversations, feeling noticed, laughing freely again. She let her words hang, unable to complete her thoughts. Taking a deep breath, I calmly asked, "So, you were seeking something more on the side?" Her eyes flashed with hurt as she protested. "That's not fair. I never intended to hurt you." I responded, "No, what's unfair is seeing my wife drifting away while pretending everything is fine." Pushing her dessert plate away, she bowed her head and then uttered the words that would change everything. "Megan, I think I need some space. Just a weekend to clear my head." I leaned back, oddly composed, and inquired, "A weekend with him?" Megan hesitated before quietly admitting yes. It felt like something inside me had broken free, like an anchor chain snapping. I said, "I understand." Megan's voice quivered. "I'm not seeking your permission, Fen. I'm asking for your understanding." Standing there, I struggled to determine whether this intense emotion is genuine or simply a fleeting infatuation. Despite the tension gripping my jaw, my voice remained steady as I confront Megan. "You're asking for 3 days outside of our marriage to explore another life? I implore for honesty from both of us." With resolve, I finished my drink in one swift motion, placing the glass down with a soft clink. "No, Megan. You seek an escape without facing the consequences. Take your weekend, but don't expect me to be waiting for you when you return." With that, I rise from the table, leaving the check behind, and exit without another word. That evening, I don't stand at the doorway of our home or resort to dramatic gestures. Instead, I quietly pack a suitcase with clothes, essential documents, and a small box of cherished old photos. Megan is likely with the other person, so when she eventually reaches out with a text asking to talk, I am already comfortably settled in a temporary rental across town under an alias to shield my whereabouts. As the days pass, with Saturday and Sunday coming and going, the aftermath of our encounter unfolds. Megan had sent a few text messages and then a longer email by Monday morning. Without opening it, I realized I didn't require an explanation or a half-hearted apology. Confusion did not excuse betrayal. That afternoon, while she was out, I revisited the house, walking through each room to bid farewell to our once shared life. I selected the final items I wished to take: a jacket, a spare charger, some shoes, and the watch she had gifted me during our second year of marriage. Removing my wedding band, I placed it on the dining table alongside divorce papers with my signature already affixed. Atop the folder, I wrote a succinct note: "You don't get to test drive other lives and return to mine." The message conveyed truth without malice, concluding with a period. As I exited the house for the last time, her call came in that evening, but I chose not to answer. There is a distinction between departing in anger and departing because you have reached a point of finality. My feelings of anger had dissipated, leaving me solemnly resolved to move forward. The following weeks merged into months, hastening the process of divorce. More than I had anticipated, Megan's lack of resistance took me by surprise. Without demanding anything, she seemed to cling to a glimmer of hope that I might reconsider. Moving into a modest contemporary apartment brought a newfound sense of peace and quiet. Gone were the nights filled with anxiety and suspicion, leaving me to breathe freely in solitude. Megan retained ownership of the house, the furniture, and the framed photos that adorned the walls, perhaps wandering through the empty rooms still haunted by the remnants of our past life together. Occasionally, she would reach out with reserved messages, maintaining a distant connection. It was around a year after our divorce when an unexpected email from a woman named Alia, who claimed to have worked with Megan, arrived in my inbox. The subject line ominously stated, "I thought you should know about Tyson." Intrigued, I opened the email to discover shocking information about Tyson's infidelity post-split, involving relationships with other colleagues, particularly younger hires. My end, it seemed, did not take this betrayal lightly. With a re-smile, I closed the email, realizing that perhaps there was more to Megan's story than I had ever imagined. Nothing for me changed in that story. I already knew how it ended. It was an accidental encounter. A few weeks later, I coincidentally bumped into Mayan at a downtown cafe. She appeared smaller, dimmer, as if a light within her had faded. A half-drunk cup of tea sat on her table, next to a paperback novel lying face down. Our eyes met in the bustling space. Megan greeted me with a slight smile. "Farron, it's been a while," she said as I nodded politely. "Megan, We lingered there, surrounded by unspoken regrets. She gestured towards her table, as if inviting me to join her. For a moment I considered it. Then memories of lonely nights and the bitter taste of broken trust flooded my mind. "Mayan, you look well," I remarked casually. "Thanks, you do too," she replied, though it was clearly insincere. She seemed weary, burdened by troubles too heavy to bear. Megan spoke softly. "Do you ever think about what happened?" I replied, "No, I endured it." That was sufficient. She blinked, tears welling up, but I felt no inclination to provide solace. Instead, I offered a polite nod and walked away without looking back. I didn't need to, I acknowledged, closing the chapter. It's been 3 years since I left that house, since I put my ring on the table and walked out. People sometimes ask if I'd ever get married again. My response is always the same: maybe, but only if it comes with peace, not noise. That's not fear, it's clarity. I know my own worth now. I refuse to negotiate with someone who isn't sure I'm enough. I still see Mayan in passing at social events or around the city. She smiles as though we're just distant acquaintances, and I smile back. No bitterness remains, just a sense of history that doesn't need reliving. She remarried once briefly. It didn't last. The rumors say he traveled often, and Mayan suspected he was unfaithful. She found proof, confronted him, and he walked out without a word. Karma doesn't always roar. Sometimes it just holds up a mirror. As for me, I'm seeing someone new, Anya. She's not dramatic or flashy. She talks straight, laughs openly, and doesn't play games. With her, I don't feel a need to chase attention or prove my worth. I really resonate with the idea of feeling acknowledged, finding clarity, and experiencing authenticity. While going through old files on my laptop recently, I stumbled upon a collection of photos from my time with Megan. We appeared youthful, self-assured, and carefree in those snapshots. However, rather than sadness, I felt a sense of gratitude. When someone demonstrates their readiness to jeopardize everything we've built for a fleeting moment, they inadvertently give us the gift of freedom. I didn't seek revenge or endless apologies. All I needed was the truth. After making my decision based on that truth, I moved forward without looking back. It's essential to remember that you don't triumph by pleading for someone's choice. True victory lies in walking away when they don't choose you and then remaining steadfast in your absence. The quiet act of departure should not be seen as a sign of weakness. There comes a time when letting go is about liberating yourself from a situation that no longer nurtures your heart or soul. When you begin to sense that subtle shift or betrayal in unsaid words, in nights spent pondering, it's often already too late. Silence is not a sign of weakness, but rather a demonstration of self-respect. Consider this. What truly marks the end of a relationship? Is it the explosive arguments and ultimatums, or the quiet, deliberate departure? Share your thoughts on this. If you found the message valuable, pass it along to those who could benefit from it. And always bear in mind that staying silent can be a powerful choice for your own well-being and the path ahead.